Hey, what's up YouTube? Donovan the Smartphone Guy coming back at you with another video, and tonight we're going to take a look at a brand new device from Blue, bold like us, and this is the R1 Plus. So real quick shout out to Blue for sending this to me for review. Thank you, Blue. And let's go ahead and take a look at this device. So this is the R1 Plus, and last year you might remember that Blue took the world by storm when they introduced the Blue R1 HD. That was a device that you could pick up for $50 or $60 on Amazon. That was an ad-supported version. This year there will not be an ad-supported version, but this device is available tomorrow. That's February 29th for $109.99. So great budget offering, but definitely some upgraded specs from last year's R1 HD. So let's go ahead and talk about what the upgrades are, and then we'll also talk about my experience with this over the last 2 weeks. So with that being said, this device will actually be $159.99, but again, like I said, if you're watching this on the 29th, you can take a look at the links in the description right down here, and it will be available for $110 on that day. Let's get rid of that thing, and let's go ahead and take a look at the specs. So first thing we'll notice is that there is a 5.5-inch HD display. That's 720p. It is a 2.5D curved glass display. We have a MediaTek 6737 processor, that's 1.3 gigahertz quad core. It is rocking 3 gigs of RAM, and there will be a lower version, a lower spec version with 2 gigs of RAM, but I was sent out the 3 gigs of RAM version, and this version happens to have 32 gigs of onboard storage. The lower spec version will have 16 gigs of onboard storage. This is a 13 megapixel camera on the back and a 5 megapixel camera on the front. Both have LED flash. It does have a micro SD card slot that is up to 64 gigs, and yes, you can use it as adaptable storage. I tested that out in my review. And then it does also have 4G LTE. It will work GSM unlocked with T-Mobile, Cricket, Metro, and AT&T. And yes, it does have band 12, band 17, and it is rocking Android 6.0, so not quite up to date there. So it doesn't have Android 7.0. However, Blue did say in their press release that they do have plans to upgrade this to 7.0. Now, with that being said, Blue doesn't have the best track record of upgrading, so we'll see if that actually happens. So let's go ahead and take a look at the box and see what you get in here. So hello, is it me you're looking for? Anybody watch Trolls? All right, you're just trolling me now. All right, so here we go. We got the case here. So this is the TPU case that comes with it. This comes in the box. Thank you, Blue. And I have been using that for the last 2 weeks, and it's held up quite well. It does have a 2-amp fast charger, so it's not Qualcomm 3.0 or anything like that, but it is a faster than normal charger. So like I said, 2 amps that it does include. It is a micro USB cable, so not Type-C, so not quite the latest and greatest, but for a budget device, you shouldn't expect that necessarily. And we do also have in here some little SIM tray helpers here. So this is, it has 2 micro SIMs, and you'll probably need one of these because most likely you have a nano SIM. So this is a SIM adapter, and you can use that to plug in your nano SIM into the SIM slots, because there are dual SIMs on this phone as well. So other than that, you get the screen protector and some reading materials. Now, it does also come with these 2 guys here. So we have a SIM removal tool, which I'm not really sure why that's included because the back is removable. So it's not the typical SIM removing. And then it comes with what I thought was originally a guitar pick. By the way, I don't play guitar. But originally I thought this was a guitar pick, and then later I found out that you're going to need this thing in order to remove the back of the device. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, I've removed the back of this device multiple times, so it's a little bit easier for me now, but the first few times I definitely had to use that that little, we'll call it guitar pick. So here is what you're going to use to remove that back, and like I said, I've removed it enough now that it's not as hard to remove, but still definitely not easy. So let's see if we can do this. Got to go in beast mode in order to get it. Come on now. Oh, there we go. All right, so that is a metal backing, aluminum backing, and this has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. We'll talk about the battery life in a little bit, but I can tell you right now, spoiler alert, it's very good. So you can see here I have my SIM in there, so I'm using one of those adapters. It does have a dual SIM, and then we do have also that micro SD tray in the back, and we have our speaker in the back as well. So not my favorite positioning, obviously, and I think we all know that, but it is what it is, and that's what we're going to deal with. So 13 megapixel camera, there's our microphone, LED flash in the back. On the top we have a headphone jack. On the front we have our 5.5-inch display, front facing LED and 5 megapixel camera, and then right over here, can't see it right now, but there is a little LED notification light. Got our blue branding. On the bottom we have our micro USB charging port and another microphone, noise canceling microphone. Power button, which is nice and tactile, but very, very small. And then we have our volume rocker as well. So there is our 720p display. So we're going to go ahead and log in here. Wrong pin, try again. All right, so there we go, we're in. And like I said, 720p display. I'm just going to go ahead and show you that overall the display does look quite good. But let's see if we can find it. Gmail. All right, so here's an example of some very small text. So small text, really small text, will get a little bit blurry, but obviously you can zoom in and get in there. So that's the one area where you'll probably notice the 720p display. Viewing angles, as you can see, are quite good. In the brightest light, it does get bright enough that I had no issues seeing it on a very bright day, but it wasn't necessarily the easiest to see, but I could still see it and use it with no problem. So 720p display, obviously not as crisp as I would like. I'd probably prefer 1080p, but again, this is a device that regular price, full price will be $160, but again, you can pick it up on sale for $110 on February 29th. So with that being said, we've talked enough about the display. Let's talk about the processor. So you could see here that I had a bunch of apps open, so we're going to go ahead and jump into Geekbench since obviously that's talking about the processing. So there you go, there's the Geekbench score. So not the highest scores, but I will say in real world usage, this phone really doesn't perform too bad at all. So going from task to task, you can see works pretty well. Going into different tasks here, no problems whatsoever loading these things up. Here's a little video it's going to play all of a sudden because I just realized I just jumped into YouTube. We're going to get out of that because I'm not even sure how I ended up in that. Let's flip that up back. Maybe. All right, so let's go into the camera. All right, get out of that. Get a notification there. All right, so we'll talk about the camera in just a little bit, but performance overall has been quite good. The one area that I would say I've had some issues would be in multi-touch. So let me just give you a quick example. In gaming again works just fine, but the area that I've had some issues with is multi-touch. So you notice here that it is struggling to kind of pick up all three fingers at the same time. So I'm just going to give you another demonstration on, this is my Mate 9 to show you what should be happening. So get rid of those notifications there. So I'll put three fingers on there. Notice how they all stay lit up. So I don't know if this is an issue just with my device or if this is going to be an issue with others, but I did have some issues where in gaming like NBA Jam and other games that require multi-touch, I did have some times where you could see that multi-touch would kind of throw it off. Other than that, social media, things like that, no problem whatsoever in the performance, but that was the one area that I had some issues with the device. So the next thing I want to talk about is the battery life. So this has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, and it's going to be hard to really show you what my battery life has been. I will say this. Battery life is absolutely stellar. I was getting upwards of 7 to 8 hours of screen on time, easily making it through a day. So you can see here that I had it on the charger last night at 2 a.m. And then just kind of wore it out. And then I charged it a little bit earlier tonight to make sure it was good to go for this video. So go into screen on time. So it's at 5 hours, but again, that was not a full charge there. So in general, I'm getting right around 7 to 8 hours of screen on time. So very, very good battery life. And I think you're going to have no issues with getting through a full day of battery on this. Some other things I want to mention here are the cameras. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So here are the cameras. I'm going to show you some pictures at the end, some of the same pictures you're going to see here. But the front-facing camera holds its own. It's a 5 megapixel camera. There are a few shots of the rear facing camera, so pretty decent. In good lighting, you can obviously see that the picture quality is not too bad at all. And there's even some, it's f2.2 aperture, so decent amount of dynamic range as well. So the area you see that it struggles with is when there's direct light. So notice that it has those little light bars there. Those were not present in my actual room. So it does struggle in some direct light, and you can see here this is a low light picture where it does start to get kind of grainy. My kids were kissing. All right, so, and again, these pictures will be at the end of the video as well, so stick around if you want to see those. So the rear camera shoots in 720p. It does actually say that it's capable of shooting in 1080p, but native in the camera app, it only displays 720p. It is a 13 megapixel camera, so you can see the options there. And so flipping through some of the options, we do have Pro mode, we have night mode, we do have an HDR as well. So a few of the options available there. Also panorama, so that's with the rear camera. And you can see some of the options we have available in here as well. So there's our video quality again. And all those settings I actually set over there. So that's how I have them here now. So we're going to switch over to the front-facing camera. You'll be able to see me here with my S7 Edge there. So you can see that it's capable of 5 megapixels and again 720p for the front-facing camera. And then going in here, we do have a wide selfie, which it's kind of weird because it's kind of like a panorama option. So it's not like a true wide selfie. It's not like the LG G6 where it actually widens the display. It's almost like a panorama where you'll actually move the phone around you and it'll take multiple pictures and put them together for that wide selfie. So that's how it is. And we do have some face beauty options as well. Again, some pictures at the end, but overall I would say the front-facing camera, okay. The rear-facing camera in good lighting was excellent in my opinion, but in low light and when there's direct light on whatever it is that you're taking a picture of, that's when you'll see some of those artifacts that I had some issues with. So next thing I want to talk about is the software. So this is running Android 6.0 and it is basically stock Android 100%. You will see no bloatware on this thing whatsoever. The only bloatware that it comes with is these Amazon apps. There aren't any gestures really that they throw in here either, so it's no gimmicks, no frills. This is just stock Android 6.0. So that is the one reason why I think maybe they will actually update this to Android 7.0 because there's not a whole lot to update here. It's basically just moving from 6 to 7, and that's it. There's no apps that they need to update either. So next thing I want to listen to is the speakers. So we're going to go ahead and take a listen to, I had some music queued up here, so let's go ahead and listen to it. So again, it is rear firing here, so we'll start with it facing away from us here. Crank it up here so you guys can hear it. Okay, now I'm going to put it up to my microphone. Okay, so my microphone's actually facing me. This is actually a relatively loud rear-facing speaker. It's not the best, but it is available there. So one last thing that I want to mention here, and this is some of the extras and some of the other things that they included that they didn't have with the original R1 HD. And what I want to show you real quick, and this is the last thing I'm going to show you, is 360 video, and that is because they have included with this one for all you Pokemon goers. Oh, of course we're gonna get an ad. Maybe listen to the speaker one more time. But with this phone, they did include a gyroscope. Now let's see if we can actually get into What are we doing here? I don't even know what I'm doing. Oh, there we go. There's a gyroscope. So for all you Pokemon goers, you have a budget device that has a gyroscope capable of your AR in Pokemon Go. So with that being said, this is the blue R1 Plus. It's going to be available again on February 29th for $110. After that, it jumps back up to its regular price of $160. I'm sure I've probably exhausted everything I can think of that you would need to know about this device. If you have any questions at all, my negatives, let's talk about that. My negatives, there is no fingerprint sensor and that multi-touch issue. Outside of those two things, I would say this is a really fantastic budget device. But that multi-touch issue probably is a big one for some people. So I don't know if that's just my device or if that's going to be an issue that other people experience as well. Obviously, the rear-facing speaker, I would have preferred it to be front-facing. That's just me. So with that being said, thanks for watching. I hope I've addressed all the questions you might have about this device, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.